Fears about increasing costs and faltering economies have migrated to UK and European stock markets after strong drops in the US, inflation fears, and a downturn in China. Global markets tumbled dramatically on Monday as increasing inflation and a slowdown in China's export growth stoked concerns about the global economy's health. Stocks in Asia-Pacific markets, Europe, and the United States all fell as investors worried about slowing global growth at a time when central banks are boosting interest rates to combat rising inflation. The FTSE 100 slid 2.32% or 171 points to 7,216 at the conclusion of trade on Monday in London, the lowest level in 8 weeks, with mining firms among the losers. The Nikkei 225 index in Japan had fallen 2.5% earlier in the day. Stocks fell as China's export growth slowed to 3.9% year-on-year in April, down from 14.7% in March. Imports were flat as COVID outbreaks in China reduced demand and hampered manufacturing. According to analysts, the slowdown demonstrated that the world's second biggest economy was suffering from lockdowns in major cities, such as Shanghai, which hampered industry operations and clogged logistical systems. At the closing of trade, European stocks had fallen to a 2-month low, down 2.9%. The S&P 500 index fell 3.2% on Wall Street in New York, its lowest level in a year, following its longest stretch of weekly losses in more than a decade. The tech-heavy Nasdaq plummeted 4.29% as investors sold off previously hot tech firms. Emerging market equities fell to their lowest level since June 2020 as China's faltering economy compounded the effects of rising global interest rates and the continuous disruption caused by the Ukraine crisis. Fresh selling of U.S. government bonds also pushed up the yield on the 10-year Treasury note to its highest level since November 2018. When prices fall, yields climb. The U.S. dollar hit a new 20-year high, boosted by forecasts of more strong hikes in U.S. interest rates this year to combat increasing inflation, which is currently at 8.5%. There is no stopping the mighty U.S. dollar, said XM broker Marios Hadjikyriakos. Stress in equities markets, concerns of a global economic downturn, and the persistent march higher in U.S. rates continue to push up demand for the reserve currency. Cryptocurrencies and other risky assets were also affected. Bitcoin has dropped below $32,700, its lowest valuation, since July 2021. In the previous 6 months, it has lost half of its worth. Berkshire finished 2021 with a close record cash total of $146.7 billion and injected $51.1 billion into the market toward the beginning of this current year as worldwide stocks are reeling under tension. Buffett is widely considered the most successful investor of the 20th century. He's also known to be a contrarian, buying when others are selling. He buys aggressively when the prices of the companies he likes fall into his lap, but stays on the sidelines when they don't. When it comes to the stock market, how can we forget Lord Warren Buffett? Very rich person financial backer Warren Buffett has been purchasing stocks in the midst of the drawn-out market defeat this year. In the beyond couple of months, his Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated supported its stake in Chevron Corporation. CVX put down a consolidation exchange bet on Activision Blizzard Incorporated ATVI, gained portions of HP Incorporated, Citigroup Incorporated, C and Ally Financial Incorporated, partner, and kept adding to its situation in Apple Incorporated, which arose out as his #1 and greatest stockholding. Buffett's financial planning style has never been one that favors procuring wares. However, higher expansion rates might play had an impact, Thomas Hayes, executive of Great Hill Capital in New York, told The Street. Why is Buffett buying now? Since the global financial crisis, the market's seen rapidly rising stock valuations and more competition from private equity groups. And that's meant fewer opportunities that meet Buffett's selective criteria. So, rather than buying good companies at bad prices, Berkshire's been amassing an impressive investment war chest, ready to be deployed when the time is right. With respect to Buffett purchasing partakes in OXY, I wouldn't make a lot on it, he said. All things considered, he has tried not to put resources into item stocks. Today, he considers it to be a support against expansion and an expected stockpile request unevenness. Warren Buffett once said that it is insightful for financial backers to be unfortunate when others are insatiable, and voracious when others are unfortunate. He is taking on that system as of now in purchasing stocks, as the market is drooping. Morgan Stanley planners drove by Michael J. Wilson wrote in a Monday research note that they anticipate that the S&P 500 should tumble to 3,400 toward the finish of the late spring, or another generally 14% from ebb and flow levels, as profit development and shopper spending slow. Morgan Stanley's tacticians said that they expect there will be rehashed bear market rallies over the course of the following couple of months as financial backers hope to purchase the plunge with valuations approaching verifiable standards. However, that ought not to be a purchase signal. Berkshire almost left its situation in Verizon during the quarter, selling in excess of the vast majority of its portions and leaving its stake at about $70 million toward the finish of March. Berkshire gave a significant lift to its Chevron possessions during the quarter, expanding its stake from $4.5 billion toward the finish of 2021 to $25.9 billion toward the finish of March. Berkshire held 136.4 million offers toward the finish of March and presently holds around 143 million offers, giving the organization around a 15% stake in the Texas-based oil and gas maker worth about $9.7 billion. The Citigroup stake was worth almost $3 billion toward the finish of March, while the Markel and Ally stakes were valued at $620 million and $390 million, separately. The situation in the iPhone creator was worth almost $160 billion at quarter end, with Berkshire adding multiple million offers. Berkshire wiped out its stake in long-term holding Wells Fargo, which had become recently a $32.4 million situation toward the finish of 2021. Berkshire started purchasing portions of Occidental Petroleum during the main quarter and has expanded its stake further since the quarter finished, as indicated by administrative filings. Berkshire's biggest stock holding likewise got a lift during the quarter, with the organization somewhat expanding its stake in Apple by under 1%. Somewhere else where Berkshire decreased its situation during the quarter was Store Capital, where it sliced its holding by almost 40%. Berkshire held around 1.5 million offers, worth $58.3 million toward the finish of March, as indicated by the recording. Chevron has profited from higher energy costs and revealed $6.3 billion in profit during the main quarter of 2022, up from $1.4 billion in a similar quarter the year before. The Bloomberg list remembers just a single other tycoon for the main 10, Gautam Adani, an Indian foundation financier that claims land, products, and power, age, and transmission, whose complete total assets is $99.5 billion, and his year-to-date execution is a benefit of $22.9 billion through May 15. The combination possesses a horde of different organizations, from more modest stakes to buy and large property, going from protection, rail lines, utilities to tech organizations, and its unmistakable property like Coca-Cola. While different financial backers have seen a huge level of their fortunes scatter in the new market sell-off, Buffett has ascended to the top. While his aggressors center around organizations Buffett ought to have put resources into before, for example, Apple because of his repugnance of possessing tech stocks, and his goofs with aircraft stocks, Buffett has adhered to his effective financial planning system of buying quality organizations, Johnson told the street already. Just 24 tycoons saw their total assets rise year-to-date through the finish of exchanging on May 12 out of the main 100 most extravagant individuals. His absolute total assets is $112 billion, and he has acquired $3.38 long-term to date through the finish of exchanging on May 15. Buffett uncovered at Berkshire's yearly April investor meeting that the combination claims a 9.5% stake of Activision, Blizzard from its underlying stake of 2%, the gaming organization that is set to be gained by Microsoft. Buffett zeroed in on responsibility for banks, keeping his stakes of Bank of America, his second biggest situation later, and U.S. Bancorp. On the off chance that the arrangement goes through, we bring in some cash, he said at the organization's yearly investor meeting. It's just as crucial to pay attention to what Buffett buys as it is to when he buys. His current preference for recession and inflation-resistant equities, for example, indicates that he is likely concerned about the prospect of stagflation, the less-than-ideal combination of high inflation and poor GDP. That's all we've got for you today. If you liked and found today's video fascinating, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to be up to date with the most exciting things as soon as it's released. Thank you for your time. See you in another video shortly.